Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to the very normal and simple stuff that we're doing here in Last Call BBS. Okay, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure this machine works. I haven't actually run it all the way to completion, but I've run it through enough basic tests that I believe it is functional. So, as you can see, I went with a slightly different design on this one. Here's the thing. I couldn't actually figure out an efficient way to run a 4-fryer solution because of the space constraints. It's actually pretty easy to do a 3-fryer solution right here, but then you have to run more controls. And as you can see, I did just completely run out of space on the rack. Now, granted, some of that probably has to do with the fact that I'm using a lot of multi-mixers. I am always using a lot of multi-mixers, but the thing is, they're so good for logic and stuff. So, let me show you approximately how this works. Each of the fryers has its own little logic counter here, where you can very easily just run and then reset itself on eject. I wired up the stacker in the more complicated way where instead of firing the eject command on 0, it checks on each stack whether it should eject and only ejects if the counter is on 0. And we underset the quantity by 1 because this allows the eject command to fire 1 cycle sooner than if we just do the on 0 eject. So we're saving 1 cycle on whatever our longest time is. This machine is somewhat optimized for time. I don't want to spend any more time on it right now. I want to move on to the next puzzle and everything, but that was kind of my design thought here. So the 3-piece setup is pretty straightforward. It just, when we hit play, it has an instruction that does all of the routing. It makes all of the boards do the correct thing. You can see we're sending one of the closer chicken pieces into the rubbish bin instead of one of the further ones, because this is the fewest number of instructions. This router is already in this position, because it actually doesn't matter how long the 3-piece thing takes. It's the 9-piece thing that we're trying to optimize around. So from there, it's just pretty simple. Obviously, there's some collision stuff. I guess what I could do, if I really did want to do a 4-fryer solution, I don't know why this just occurred to me now, but it's like this, right? And you do fryer. Maybe I'll come back and give that a try at some point. For right now, I'm just going to leave it like this. We definitely do get a lot of collision time. Right, but again, how would I don't necessarily have the ability to to run logic for 4 fryers because we run out of rack space. Whatever, it's fine. So anyway, that's pretty straightforward, right? We don't have to change the instructions on the routers or anything. All of this stuff gets stacked up. Cool. Okay. For the 6 and 9-piece orders, I am running a sequencer so that we can dispense a chicken and change the routing information at the appropriate moments. I wired these up so that instruction C is for chicken. A and B are the routing instructions for the A and B routers. And then instruction D here is a complicated instruction that changes the routing for all 3 of the routers because that's necessary at the point where it's necessary. I'll show you. It gets a little weird with that. So obviously on this one, we're throwing away 2 pieces from the last chicken. I'm not 100% convinced I'm doing that right because it probably actually would be 1 cycle faster to use the full left side and throw away both pieces from this slicer. But again, the amount of time it takes to run the 6-piece thing is actually irrelevant because it's the 9-piece thing that's actually going on the histogram. So we use the whole first chicken, right? Try to clear stuff out of the way as quickly as possible. We have to throw away 3 total pieces on this one, right? I elected to throw away the 1 piece from the first slicer on the second chicken because, as you're going to see in a moment here, without doing that, my plan was to do that on the third chicken initially. But if we don't throw the piece away on the second chicken, we end up with a really bad traffic jam here. Right? There's already, even with throwing away one of the pieces in the middle, we already get complete a complete gridlock here on the belt. And if I try to use both pieces of the second chicken drumstick is still here when the third chicken slicing happens, and we get a big error. But from there, it just runs. You can see the timing's a little awkward. Like, those last pieces take a really long time to come off the fryer, but it is functional. And you know, it is still faster than most people did it, but it's not the fastest. There's definitely some improvements that could be made. So people are not wild about the wings here. Granola King says 3 stars. It was fun to pretend like I was a past person rooting for my sporting team or whatever. Well, I mean, you're dressed for it. That's a sportsy hat, right? I think so. Shanagon72 gives it 1 star. Worst date ever. That doesn't feel like it's the wings' fault, probably. The buffalo was an animal that didn't even have wings. Buffalo in this cape isn't the type of meat, but the town it originated in, blah, blah, blah. I wonder if there is an auto truncator on this comment section, or if she did that because she was like, listen, I have a lot to be angry about here, but it won't all fit in the box. Sometimes you do that on Twitter or whatever, right? Orpheus gives it 2 stars. Features something called a hot sauce, which causes excruciating pain. Apparently this was something people liked to do. Why? It's a good question. I'm not so good personally with the pain. Oh, by the way, I realized I made some adjustments to previous machines after the episode that I didn't go back and show you. And at the very least, I wanted to show you how I got the time down on cafetrist. I figured out that routing logic sucks, and actually it's way faster to just use every slicer. Check this shit out. I am confident that this is approximately as fast as this machine can possibly run. And the histogram confirms, because you literally, like... Once you get the first cigarette out, and this thing is moving pretty quickly. There is from this moment, there's something on this belt getting stacked every single cycle. So even though it looks like the belts kind of like go off all over the place, the fact that the stacker is the time bottleneck is something we couldn't fix anyway, right? So it's actually very time efficient, and it's quite logic efficient. Now, the machine doesn't care about that. There's no histogram for number of wires used, although maybe there should be. And in the end, it's not especially efficient, but it is the price that most people's machines were, approximately. We don't know exactly how wide this bar is, while being really fast, and I'm fairly proud of it. Anyway. Greetings, operator. It's exciting times for the 20th century experience. A few announcements to make regarding park operations. We are increasing mall and skate park hours to 24 hours a day. All operators role-playing as retail associates at the mall or as cool kids in the skate park will be assigned to one of 3 shifts. I want to be cool kid in skate park so badly. That sounds like such a fun job. I would definitely die though, because the cool kid in the skate park has to do skate stuff sometimes, right? If I ever got on a skateboard or roller skates, I am certain I would die instantly. I would find a way. Keytars are now back in stock after last month's supply problems. While we realize this is what happens when you hand machine manufacture your products, we have very strong feedback from our visitors that they love the authenticity. Keytars are that's a real narrow slice of the 20th century there. Due to increased demand, we have introduced more jobs for visitors to try in the industrial zone. Additionally, many visitors have told us they are curious to experience 20th century burnout and existential despair. So we are spinning up a new office park area to explore how we can bring these once extinct sensations back to life. No, you fools, what are you doing? Sometimes dead is better. No enthusiast of the 20th century can miss one of its most iconic repasts, the hamburger. Anthropologists believe that paying too much for a gourmet version of this inexpensive meat and bread assemblage was a cherished tradition among urban professionals. Yeah, a professional something. I have known some people who are like, let's go to the fancy place and get $7 sliders. I mean, not each slider, you know, like they fucking sell their burgers in a flight, and it's just like, well, what if you did like a good job though? What if you did something that was valuable to humanity? Okay, so tray meat, yeah, we get all this stuff. Put some number of burger patties on. If there is cheese, the cheese goes on each patty. If there is lettuce or tomato, stuff goes on top. You can run a stacker prior to the tray. Is that a thing that would be worthwhile? Oh, also the bun has to go through a slicer. This actually seems like assembly stuff could be tricky. So the cheese comes out of this machine. Oh yeah, that is weird. So we have to cook each patty for 4 cycles. I mean, that's easy enough to just like put a grill directly in front of this thing. But maybe that's not the right move. Especially if you're trying to time optimize. You might want this thing to potentially be connected to multiple grills, right? How expensive is a grill? Very is the answer to that question. Like, if you're really trying to do this quickly, you might need up to 3 grills. And then, like, the bun has to go through a slicer. This actually sucks because of the way the slicer works. Because it's gonna need 3 columns or 3 rows, depending on how you set it up. Okay, so what if it's like... Where does this... The stacker needs to go after the grill area. Like, does this make sense for space? We have to emit cheese such that there will be a cheese following. Oh man, what a nightmare. All right, the bun slicer. Okay, the top of the bun comes out the left. That's perfect. This thing here is going to have to be a sorter because it's going to have to sometimes hold that bun for a while. This is really rough. Okay, so let me just talk through what I'm thinking here. The general shape of this is the tray comes out, it'll just, you know, do what it does. I guess we have to have some logic to shoot it through the sorter there. So the tray comes out and it'll find its way down. We need to, based on this, figure out how many burgers we're sending out and how to route them. I think this makes the most sense. I should probably, though, for ease of understanding what's going on, these should be stacked in a consistent way. It shouldn't be A in the middle. A needs to be on one of the ends. So that we can make sense of them more easily as we're laying out the burn instructions. Cooking instructions. You know what I mean by burn. You burn it until it's food. This says a lot about the way that I cook, I guess. So yeah, we send out some amount of meat. We have some kind of timing information for the grills. Okay. Then the timing information for the grills also controls the cheese. And we have the pickle and tomato information that we're just going to have to hold. This might be a thing where it actually ends up making sense to have a scanner, because we want to emit the pickle and tomato last. They have to go after all of the burgers and all of the cheese has gotten through. That could be challenging. How many orders do we have? Is it every possible combination? Yeah, okay. Well, I gotta tell you, I'm a little concerned about this. And then basically, like, after the tray has made it to here, we can just go ahead and fire the bun. The sorter there needs to hold the bun until everything else is clear, and it can, like, let it out when it's time for pickle and tomato. So what I'm thinking is there's probably a scanner here that we're using to, like that, that we're using to run, like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a sequencer necessarily, but something that fires like if pickle, pickle, if tomato, tomato, and then the next cycle dispense this thing forward. And it gets called whenever the patties are finished. And we do have the maximal, we do have the maximal thing. So it can just go ahead and fire pickle and then tomato in sequence. It doesn't have to, there's no benefit to making it be smart enough. We can just fire pickle check, then tomato check, instead of having it, like, in theory, the way to minimize cycles across all of the iterations would be to have a check that runs pickle and tomato you want to run the pickle and tomato checks at the same time. And if both are active, then run one of them again. Because that way, if the thing has no pickles, you can dispense tomato on the first check cycle and save yourself a cycle. Instead of going empty on the pickle cycle and then firing on tomato cycle. But since our counter is going to be dominated by the maximal case, it doesn't actually help us to do that. Not in a way that will show up on the histograms. Okay, anyway. So, let's talk about rigging up this logic. It is probably the case each grill is going to need a counter. Now, each grill gets used at most once in this particular experiment. So each grill is only going to need one simple counter. We don't need to have access to a reset instruction. So it's pretty straightforward. It's just +4. Sense is -1. And it's a bummer to have to wire up the same thing 3 times, but these timers have to run independently of each other, so. My guess is we're going to end up needing to... I mean, we may as well load that up no matter what, right? My guess is we're going to end up needing another start. Well, maybe not. Okay, so how do I do this part? What's the right play here? Because we always, like, on start, we need to fire the meat thing, for sure. On double, single, and triple. Okay, that is timed correctly. Good. On double and triple, we need to call the meat instruction again, which means we are for sure going to need this to actually be an instruction that runs the multi-mixer, because we got to call this more times, potentially. And immediately, like, the next cycles make sense, but it's got to happen on cycle 2 and cycle 3, which kind of makes me think that we're in sequencer territory again. we may not need a sequencer for the first one. Oh, this is going to be really complicated though. Right? Because it's like, okay, double start. It's like fire the meat thing on that cycle. On triple start this and fire the meat thing on both of those cycles. But also routing, right? So this is AB, where B is B is pressing this thing to the left. And I guess actually, we can actually just wire these two together, can't we? It's like... But we only want that to happen. That's a little tricky. All right, I guess we're going to end up using multiplexers either way. Yeah, so this happens. We do the same thing here. We need to multi-mix this input because we have to call it from both of the machines. Although actually, with this machine, it would be most ideal for the triple patty, for the first patty to go to the right. Can I do that? Let's see something here. If I run that first routing instruction to the right, will it shift in time? So let's do one that is a triple for testing purposes. Okay. I didn't run. Oh, right, because you didn't even wire the thing to start. No, it puts the second patty in there. I mean, that's fine. Is that going to be where the bottleneck is? This is the question. So if the first one did go there and the second one went bottom, on this cycle, there's a patty to the left of fryer A, or grill A. Grill B has the patty with 2 dots. Grill C has the patty with 3 dots. On this next cycle, the burger that was on grill A is here. Grill C is finished. Grill B is 3 dots. On the next cycle, the burger that was on grill A is in front of grill C, and grill C is trying to eject at the same time, and this grill has just finished. It's the cycle after that where the patty actually gets off of grill C, and also this patty ejects from grill A, and so we end up waiting the exact same amount of time, it looks like. Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. All right, and then we need potentially cheese instructions. Now, where's the for right now, let's just say sort through. Okay, so the scanner's live as soon as this comes off of the grill. That's really good information. That is this cycle right here. Okay. So that's where the cheese check goes. Okay. So machines, I need one of these. Enabled by the presence of cheese on the order. We're going to need a bunch of multi-mixers for this thing. But the idea is C from this machine and D from this machine are both dispense cheese. Okay. Oh, sorry, these don't run directly to here. They are enabled by this thing. And then they run to, we don't actually, this multi-mixer doesn't exist. This is that multi-mixer. Okay. I am going to go ahead and make this triple cheeseburger. Okay. So this is the first cycle where we know, this is the first cycle where the scanner's active. So it's pretty important that we wait till here. We dispense cheese, and then we want to run the cheese check again now. That'll cover the second burger. Ooh, problem. Yeah, that's a timing issue that's actually going to be tricky to deal with. And I know the bottom bun's not on there yet, but it will be. Don't worry about that. So how do I... Because we're dispensing that cheese the very earliest cycle that we can, right? Yeah, what I would like to do is if we just emit that first piece of cheese a little bit earlier, then we wouldn't get this lockup. That has to wait a second. Oh, and also, actually, I wasn't even thinking about this. I was just worried about the collision. But actually, we have a huge problem here where this burger is getting down before that cheese is. So I need to delay... I need to delay this patty one cycle somehow. Which is to say, by doing this, right? So I want to spit out cheese like here too, I think, because we want one cheese to go out right before the A patty is finished grilling. That didn't quite work. Well, hold on. I'm changing the first. We can't emit cheese that early. We can emit here. So if I emit again immediately, how does that timing resolve? Does the cheese go out before the patty gets in the space? No, we get a real collision, which means I need to, oops, sorry, I wasn't trying to delete that. I was trying to delete this. We need to delay this patty by one cycle as well, which I think is actually okay. And if I'm going to do that, I need to change the routing instructions a little bit. The routing timer has to be different. The third cheese also has to be delayed if I'm doing that, because it has to go after that patty. It actually has to be delayed an extra cycle because that patty gets stopped. This is going to be... I don't know if this is actually going to be faster. We are losing a lot of time to cheese issues here. But okay, we managed to resolve that bit. Let's check that the two-burger cheese timing works out. I think it's... because it's so much simpler, it shouldn't really be a problem. Ah, but we do run into this problem, don't we? So actually, you know what the thing to do here is probably actually to emit the second patty to the right in both cases. So what I want to do is this goes here. right? Because now we can use the same cheese timing logic for both things. I'm double checking to make sure I didn't break this. Okay, so that one still works. But now we should be able to run the... And again, like, small delays in the double patty cycle do not mean anything because we're time dominated by the other cycle. We're time dominated by any 3 patty cycle. Okay, cool. Now, the bad news is that's a whole sequencer worth of time. So we have the how do I know when we're done with the burgers? I need to send a signal when burgers is complete. I mean, it could be in the cheese application instruction. That's not ideal though, is it? I was kind of hoping that we would have a, well, okay, what about, is it the same number of cycles from the meat dispense? Well, from the final routing instruction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So we could make it so that when the final routing instruction on each one of these things fires, it starts another sequencer. That's how we can handle the timing, because that gives us the ability to run the timer a little bit longer. I mean, on this one, we could just have a D instruction that is like run the timer for the other toppings. I don't know. So we're gonna need 2 checks here. Yeah, this shouldn't be a problem, right? So the idea is just like, when this gets started, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blank cycles. And then we do like, this is dispense pickle if called for. And this is dispense tomato if called for. And actually, can we just run the bun instruction out of here? We can, right? Because that's the bun instruction running when the final meat patty is output. Did I not actually do that? No, I totally didn't actually do that. So I need, I do need to start this thing. Sadly, it's going to take some multi-mixing. It's going to take a couple of multi-mixers, which I'm not happy about. Whatever, we got rack space, it's fine. Oh, you know what? Actually, we don't have to do that way. We can make this spawn the bun. Because we know once the tray hits here, yeah, I think that'll work. Actually, I'm a little worried. No, we're totally not going to. Yeah, by the time the tray arrives. Oh, also, that's a continuous signal. That's not good at all. If I wait until the dispensing of the final piece of meat, I think this is too late to put the bun out. It's actually really tricky though, because the way we have this rigged up right now, the bottom bun has to be put out very close to Oh no, actually it's fine. Yeah, the final meat getting emitted should be fine. So C is bun. Okay. So this is coming off of the final routing instruction in both cases. So C goes here. Actually, this is going to be kind of complicated, right? Because we need a multi-mixer for the C instruction because it has to do this thing, but it also still has to change the routing. And then we're going to need one for this as well. Because it needs to run to here. And this is the start command for this timer. It needs to run to there, but it also still has to run its routing instruction. Okay. So the final meat gets dispensed, so does the bun. That is too early. And then obviously, like, this is wrong. And the problem is we need logic to correct the sorting behavior, and that's more rack space that we don't have. We also still need logic for the sorter. The sorter probably needs a large counter so that it can have a variety of values added to it. And then, yeah, this as a solution, this is not going to work. It's functional from a logical perspective, but it takes too much rack space to implement. Okay, I'm going to start us over. Just give me a new solution. We got to figure out a different way to do this. The cheese has to go on after it's cooked. I mean, it feels very bad to run a single grill, right? But you save a lot of rack space by doing it that way. And a thing you could do is like, yeah, you could run the grill. Hey, here's a question. Does a train of grills work like this? If I do sense eject. Okay, no, it just gets pushed forward immediately. I was wondering if we would get one cycle of cooking on each one and then it would eject at the end of the cycle, but it ejects at the beginning of the cycle. Which we knew because that's how we've been running the timers, right? I was thinking we could just have a train of 4 grills. We don't have to like run a bunch of logic to them that way. But yeah, we do have to have timers. They have to sit on each grill for a cycle. However, hear me out. What if we use a sequencer? How would I do this? Each one of these things needs to have, like, each one of these things needs to have a 1-cycle timer, which we can create with a counter to use only half the space of a sequencer. Well, can we though? Maybe not. Yeah, I think this doesn't quite work. What about this? What about like a universal eject command? Like whenever anything calls this multi-mixer, it just pushes the train of burgers forward. This is a very silly idea, but hold on. So if we let me try to build this with just the initial meat to show you, first of all, to solidify the idea I'm having and to see if this can actually function. So we set the timer here. Then I guess every one of these is going to need a sequencer. Each of the burger sizes is going to need a sequencer with this plan that I kind of sort of half have. I guess these can all live up here. There's in fact just enough room for that. Okay. So single start, double start, triple start. And the idea is this is the multi-meatser. I guess this can live over here. Okay, so meat, and we want to have a space between them in the outputs, I think. Yeah, I have to, because we have to wait one cycle. Okay. Meat. So the idea is on sense, if there's anything on any of the grills, what you do is you run the -1 here. On 0, you run the multi-eject. On 0, you run this instruction, which runs the multi-eject and also resets the timer. Hold on. Let me see if that actually works. That will cook any number of patties. I don't know if that's viable. Okay. All right. So let me take this up to triple size cheese and see about the timing. Okay. And so like on this cycle, we can dispense cheese. See, here's where you run into an issue. We don't have the time left in the sequencer to dispense the cheeses. I need to dispense a cheese every 2 cycles, as long as there are still patties coming. Well, we could do it off of ejection from the... Yeah, actually, we could do it off of ejection from the D grill, right? Never ever eat at a place called the D grill. This is very silly. This is not a real plan. I just want everybody to understand that. Give me the slicer. Okay. And again, we need a sorter here. No, not there. We need the sorter. We want the sorter on the actual export here, so we don't have to worry about the tray. So the top of the bun comes out to the left. Okay. We need a sorter here. All right. We'll get to it. So the idea is... How do I actually make that work? Because we're going to have access to the order by that point, right? Oh, shoot. This has to be a stacker. Which makes positioning the scanner kind of tricky. I wish I was allowed to put this anywhere else. Okay. Well, I mean, we can move this whole assembly up. And do this thing, which I don't love, but it does. Oh, right. Sorry, the stacker doesn't take its own space. Yeah, but you can't run stuff directly to it either. So this does end up having to be like that. Which is crummy. It's just wasted time. Oh well, it is what it is. Okay. So I'm wondering. No, never mind. Okay. So we do it like this. Right now. As long as we have to route around this, we may as well put the scanner. This feels better to me because I don't like the scanner running through the robot arm. I don't know why I don't like it. It just doesn't feel right to me. Okay. This is not going to be very cycle efficient, but it is going to work. It's weird that the scanner can't just stay on. So right, we have space to dispense cheese. It's just like... So I guess on this cycle right here, what we can do is we can have a cheese check command. What if there's a cheese sequencer? Okay, hear me out. So a certain number of cycles after the last burger comes out, like hereabouts, right? You run the cheese check command, the cheese check sequencer. Actually, you want to pull this back up one because it takes a second. It takes a cycle for the sequencer to turn on. So what you do is you go like set up with cheese if cheese is enabled. Okay. A. Then you also have a B command that is rigged to... Sorry, it's actually different commands though, right? It's a B and a C that are also rigged to enables. That's a little awkward because those both have to be stops. Well, maybe it's just one... No, never mind. Because the idea here is you're trying to call stop with these. And I can already tell that this strategy also doesn't work because it's too damn much logic. I had to figure out a way to compress some of these ideas together. Get things that are supposed to run on the same cycle to actually run on the same cycle. But like the basic idea here would be, sorry, I need one that's enabled. We would call the stop command here if it was a single. And then we do that again. Call the stop command for this one. Wait a minute. I'm all turned around here. Sorry, this is that. This was supposed to be a naked multi-mixer because this is just the one that calls stop. You would route those to there, right? So you only actually emit multiple cheeses if you need multiple cheeses. And that's totally functional. but it is too much space. We need to have time for a bun in here somewhere. So what? This is 3 blanks. And I had to add a multi-mixer for this too, right? Because we have to call it from 3 different places. It does a complicated thing that is useful, but now we're just hard out of space unless we can think of a way to compress some of this stuff. Yeah, I think 4 grills is just, it's too much. It takes up too much rack space. As much as I do really, really love it, and I do, to be clear, really, really love it. Unless I can find a clever way to make some things run off of the same set of instructions. And then, like, we could have a bun instruction. That one doesn't have to be terribly complicated, but it does have to be multi-mixed because you're running 3 pieces of logic to it. Yeah. Actually, it could run off... it could just run off the 0 multi-mixer, right? Like the first time any of the... Oh, right, but that... Sorry, that doesn't... That calls every time the... Or that's not the right way to do that. There we go. We need it to be something that only happens once, but it can't be on start. Well, you know what? It can be on start, though. I just need to space it correctly. Actually, it was fine right where it was, even. Because the one that's going to the tray immediately goes upward. Yeah. Procedurally, this is really cool. I like this one a lot. And it lets us run a pretty small amount of logic for operating 4 grills. Like the whole grill assembly is only 7 pieces. 7 slots on the rack, but it's just too much. It's too much stuff in total. So we do have some repeated functionality up here. I'm kind of wondering if there's a way to... Because like this happens every time. Dispense last patty, then do the cheese check. Is there a way to remove some of this logic? The trick is you have to perform this after dispensing all of the other patties, which is a variable task. It's something that happens every other cycle. We already have a machine here built for alternation. I'm wondering if we could somehow rig it up to that. Because right now, this is a counter that can easily fire a 0 command every other cycle. We built a machine to do in every other cycle. So the question is just, how do you make it stop when it needs to stop? How do we know that we've dispensed enough meat? And the answer could be that you just set off of this thing, the single, double, triple, instead of putting together a sequencer that runs complicated stuff, you just set a counter, like a relatively simple counter. And you can track the number of decrements that way. I don't think that there is sadly, I don't think there's an easy way to to do this. So we're talking about a thing that would allow us to eliminate 2 of the sequencers, but if it requires 1 large counter plus additional logic, we're not really saving rack space, right? Because this almost works. The thing that's driving me crazy about this is that it almost works. If we can just condense the logic a little bit, because we could run the, well, I can't run it here. Shoot. Because the problem is we're potentially stopping this thing, right? So I need to hit forward on the top bun after the last patty is output. What if I turn this around though? So the last patty goes out. We go dispense cheese. No, that's no good. This doesn't buy us enough time, unfortunately. What if I move this whole assembly over? I might be able to solve this timing problem just with belts, potentially. Right, can I make this slow enough? If instruction B, well, B only fires. Oh, actually, no, that's perfect. If you would stop, also fire the thing forward. So yeah, it's on the stop command, also through. But when you do that, so I guess then you do need a formal stop command on this one, or this one just runs straight to here. Here, this is the appropriate thing. Yeah, we skip the check. We just fire it. Okay. So then, how does the timing work out on that? I think it's really close to being good. So actually, this introduces a dead cycle, but if we point it down here, it's going to be a problem, right? Because it's going to sneak in between some of the ingredients. Yeah. We're really close to having enough space. Now, if we emit pickle and tomato off of that same instruction, how many more things do I need in order to do that? I would need, so it's this thing, right? We would need 2 extra spaces on the rack, is the answer. We would need an enable multi-mixer for each of these. Yeah, because we could just run a check. If pickle, pickle. If tomato, tomato. No, but those can't happen on the same cycle. Right. So it's actually, sadly, it's more complicated than that. And then we still need to call some kind of logic for how the stacker emits. So yeah, we're not close. Never mind. I was gonna say, if there's only like 1 or 2 rack spaces left to figure out, I can maybe condense some logic with like clever use of sequencers or counters. If we're going to end up needing like 4 to 6 additional spaces, which is what I'm thinking it is right now, then never mind. We probably can't actually do that. This solution's really pretty logic-wise. Like, I really like the shape of the decision tree, and it almost works. It is so close. Is there a way? I'm wondering if we could take some grills out of this cycle. Like, is there a way to make a circle of grills that just... Because you could potentially... I don't know. You could buy some space back by just making fewer grills if you could feed the burger through the grills a different number of times. But I guess, like... if I brought this down to just one grill... Alright, hold on a second. Let me... We're at time here, but also I feel like I'm close. Okay. Let's bring this down to just one grill. This saves us a bunch of space because we can take several multi-mixers out of the thing. It's not going to be as time efficient. So what it's like the timing instructions now run like this. Actually, this breaks. Yeah, this breaks this setup because there's no longer. That's gonna have the cheese come out one cycle too soon, I think. Well, we can solve that problem just by spacing. So let me perform the cheese check one thing earlier here. Okay, so let's talk about this. On sense, run the -1. On 0, run the +2. Wait, what was this? Hold on, let me rewire that. So it was on sense, run the -1. On 0, both run the +2 to reset the timer, and also eject, right. We also have to adjust these numbers, right? Okay, so now that's all the grill logic, and I think that will work every time, and that leaves us with the space that we probably need to set up the stacking and sorting information. Actually, the sorter is already dealt with. What am I talking about? Let me put all the ingredient stuff together. Okay, so this is our remaining workspace, and it has a bunch of garbage draped over it already, but what are you gonna do? So let me see something though. Let's make this a triple and see it in action. Is the timing actually good here? No. Why is that happening so early? I'm not accounting for some kind of delay. All right, dispense. There's a 1 cycle delay in the arrival of the burger. So there have to be 4 empty spaces. Okay. Which is really bad. So that means this has to run the cycle after the final thing. That's not a big deal. That's a problem that can be solved by just backing the cheese dispenser up a little bit. That did not run. Oh, right, because we had to do the cheese. The way the cheese check was running before was... Okay. So what probably makes more sense now is to run... Because now the burgers aren't dispensing in a way that we can weave the cheese in between them as easily anymore. The cheese checks have to occur higher. So actually, the way this is spaced out, we now want the cheese check to occur the cycle after the first meat gets sent out, right? Is it not? A is still connected to enable dispense cheese. Is this not getting called? Okay. Oh, but I'm calling it too early. The scanner's not. I forgot about the scanner thing. So when's the first cycle I can possibly call the cheese instruction? Okay, here. All of the cheese calls have to happen after this point. If we make the first cheese dispense happen on this cycle. Okay. So it's more like this. But yeah, the cheese can never come out faster than that. Oh, sorry. The absolute... Yeah. This is the fastest that meat will ever come out. So the idea is we do the cheese check now. That's right. There have to be a larger number of cycles between here because we're not ejecting the thing on the cycle it finishes cooking. We're ejecting it on the cycle after it finishes cooking. That means we actually want to start the cheese check on the same cycle as... Yeah, we start the cheese check there. Okay. That sends... These are in the wrong row. And then this can, at the earliest, it can be there. Okay. So now in theory, we are dispensing a slice of cheese for each cooked patty immediately after the patty. Okay. And there is time in there to do the pickle and tomato thing. So on the instruction that fires this thing, this one, we have our two AND gates. When this is fired... Oh, right. The timing. Remember how I was talking about how this is an issue? How am I going to do that? Because these have to fire sequentially. I mean, the answer could be another sequencer. I hate that, but the answer could be another sequencer. And then the sequencer is just like A, B, pickle, tomato. Right, this thing is... Yeah. Right, it's just like that. The cycles are going to be bad on this. I'm actually very disappointed. This is one where I definitely want to spend some time with it later and try to cycle it a little bit better. That is a very large pickle chip. And then you're all set. And all you need to do is actually emit the damn thing. And I guess the eject can be an instruction that comes off of this sequencer, right? We can always wait a certain amount of time after. Yeah, there's a specific number of cycles after the sort command that we will know that is when the top bun has gone into place. Okay. So right here, C is eject. And I think that what we have there is a solution that will work for everything. It's an ugly solution, though. Yep, and it's got a dead cycle in it. Hold on. If I run this one frame earlier. Nope. Okay. Oh, right. It works unless something held up the top bun, which is going to happen sometimes. Okay, I do believe that's a real solution. And even the very simplest version of this thing, the one fryer version of this thing, does use all but one of our rack spaces. Well, that was the number of cycles that it took most people. But not everyone. But there are some people who did it faster, and I want to be one of those people so badly. Also, this is a very expensive machine. Chris R says, 2 stars. No orange slices or other citrus add-ons. So much for the authentic burger experience. I can't... Is that... People don't do that, right? Orange on... No. This guy, what does this guy know? Rockabye Baby says 4 stars. My dad would always go on about how ancient tech workers paid huge prices for mediocre hamburgers, so he's happy that I got to experience it firsthand. He's rating the authenticity of the experience, not the burger itself. What I like about Rockabye Baby is he's got a real Forrest McNeil kind of commitment. Glitter Death says 5 stars. Came here as part of a field trip with my first form class. The kids are always so shocked that this is how people used to live. First form, very interesting. Is Zach Barth British? Because that's definitely that's an English way of phrasing that. I don't know. Maybe the character's British. Anyway, I guess we did it. I don't feel good about that one at all. Oh, hey, and we got a log entry. Strange incident. I don't know if you know what a pump and dump scheme is, but it's basically when people buy a cheap stock and then promote it to get gullible people to buy it too so they can cash out at a higher price. Zachmatics unfortunately had this happen to them, which caused a lot of trouble and was a huge distraction for the team. Soon after that, they went the way most of the old bedroom coders went. The industry changed, big companies came in spending big money, and it was no longer possible to survive on games like this. Just hostile markets all around. Yeah, I mean hostile companies, but I get what you're saying. The whole system's fucked. There's no two ways about that. Chaz Cheddar. More than simply a food ingestion site, these gathering places featured chanting automatons, costumed to resemble the animals being consumed there, as a grim reminder that life, especially in the 20th century, was nasty, brutish, and short. You know, these places are so Hobbesian. It is kind of a miracle that none of the ones that I'm aware of have ever had an animatronic tiger character as the mascot. It seems like such an easy connection to make. And you wouldn't actually call him Hobbs, because that would definitely get you sued by Bill Watterson. But, you know, just leave the connection there to be made by others. So to be clear, though, the implication of this text is that the person writing this thinks that pepperonis are partially made of mice? I'm a little concerned about what they're going to have us be doing here. Okay, it's just making pizza. Pizza's easy. Flatten the dough a couple of times. Dispense... the topping and sauce dispensers only work on the left half of the belt, so you have to spin the pizza and do it again. And unfortunately, we are getting half toppings, so it's not just like loop it. Well, I gotta be honest with you. This doesn't seem so complicated. This one does not seem nearly as bad. That said, obviously, I'm not going to start trying it now. I think we're going to call it right here for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to play around in the Breakside Grill a little bit more and see if I can figure out a way to get those cycles down, because unacceptable. That's how I feel about that. I can probably just move the grill. Now that we're no longer trying to run 4 grills in a chain, the grill could be a lot closer to the... Yeah, I might be able to fix this just by... without any logic changes, just by moving things. We'll see. Actually, what the hell? Come here again. Just come back over here. Let's take a quick look. Okay. Because, like, in theory, I could just run this basically right here, right? But the timing on this gets screwy if I do it that way. The thing is, right, we could do something like that. I want to make sure, show me an order that includes both. Actually, show me an order that includes cheese and both of the toppings. How does the timing work here? Is that calling eject? No. But it could be, right? Because we pulled a bunch of cycles out. So yeah, we call the eject there instead now. Okay, does this work with a larger burger? It should, right? Because we have everything... Most of our stuff was not being called based entirely on time. It was being called based on the end of the logical process that it was attached to. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely faster. It's not like a lot faster. So, sorry, we'll just let this run all the orders one more time. That's going to end up being like 3 cycles faster. Wait, hold on. I'm being silly here, right? Because this could be here. The grill can be there. Well, we have to move everything over to make this work. Because the scanner has to be on this side so that we can do this. Yeah, because we're going to move everything back one. Okay. There we go. I think that saved us an extra cycle. It's amazing what you can do with belts these days. It's still not my favorite outcome, but it works, I guess. Yeah, it feels like we don't have the rack space necessary to run the more complicated solutions that let you like pipeline the cooking, unless you come up with a really clever way to do it. Gosh, I wonder. We did manage to bring down our costs significantly, though. We deleted a lot of belt, I guess, and yeah, All right, it's something. Anyway, now I'm actually exiting. Now we're good. That's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, tomorrow, we're going to be making pizza, and no mice or rats will be involved at all, whatsoever. Not in a provable way, anyway. Not like a thing that a food inspector could, you know? And we'll see you then.